to eccentric. I'm very known for having a animated personality, maybe overtly animated personality. I was laughing, I was singing, having a fantastic time.
A fantastic time indeed. That was Colorado Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert responding to being kicked out of a Beetlejuice musical over the weekend in Denver for being too disruptive. CCTV video from inside the venue shows Boebert appearing to vape during the show and at points engaging in some heavy groping with a man she attended the play with.
Boebert and her beau were ushered out of the show after displaying lewd behavior, flipping the bird as she walked out, and allegedly threatening to report the ushers. The Congresswoman and her team blamed the fog machine at first, but it wasn't before long their account went up in smoke.
Yeah, so there are some levels to it. Obviously, Democrats have pointed out some inconsistency between some of the moral crusading she's been doing against grooming, members of the LGBT community being characterized as lascivious, sexually inappropriate. And here she is in a family-friendly event engaging in some not so family-friendly, very X-rated. I believe we're not showing the footage of the groping, but it's out there, and it's not the kind of thing that you would do in a theater unless it's perhaps one of those adult theaters that they used to have on Times Square.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that they should have been doing that in private, and you shouldn't do that in public, and you shouldn't, you know, fight or be combative with the ushers and all of that. It was just it was bad. She should have done it. It's not the biggest deal in like the world, and yeah, they're saying, like, what if it was two men? Then conservatives would be outraged, and I guess fine. But I'm a little more. Are we all being surveilled, like, at all times or something? Like, how do you feel about that? There's just a TV, your reactions to Beetlejuice have to be like, what if you, like, pick your nose or something?
I don't know, wait a minute, Robbie, you're like the biggest fan of the Amazon.
Well, it's because I don't want my packages stolen.
Okay. Well,
I'm not turning the camera inside the house.
You don't want your packages stolen, and movie theaters, which are public spaces, don't want people to be having sex.
Well, they're privately owned spaces.
Fingering, doing whatever.
What did you just say?
Whatever they're doing.
This is a family show, Brianna.
I'm sorry. It's hard to even describe what she's doing in a way that's appropriate because it was so inappropriate. I'm sorry. So, no, I don't have an issue with a small CCTV camera being up in the corner of a movie theater. People could be doing all kinds of illegal activities in there. It's fine for them to want to watch it. What do you make of her describing her behavior there in her mea culpa video as eccentric? Is that what the criticism is, that she's just a goofy gal?
Yeah, it was not, eccentric is not a synonym for what she was doing, and she got no push. I watched the rest of that interview. She got no pushback whatsoever. That was One America News for you. It was not eccentric. So there's some details about this boyfriend of hers.
Yes, I was going to get into that.
He is a local bar owner, restaurant owner, a Democrat. There are frequent drag performances at this restaurant. So you know, I think there's a lot of she's not really practicing what she preaches here.
Indeed. It almost begs the question whether she actually believes these things, or whether or not she, and along with a number of other Republicans who've been caught in similar kind of hypocritical moments over the decades, are stirring culture war controversy to distract from the paucity of real politically, economically advantageous policies that would actually help their constituents. In the exact same way, I'm not just targeting Republicans, in the exact same way that Democrats like to talk about the other side of these culture issues, so that nobody, as Cenk Uygur said in an interview we did with him earlier today, looks up and notices the real people in power that are pulling the strings and making life miserable for everyone.
Looks up and notices that the cameras are on, and you should not be doing that in Beetlejuice. You thought, I'm gonna expose you in front of the audience. You thought, before I told you, that they were actually watching the movie from the
I thought that there was a new movie
90s.
that I mean, I understood that it was a musical, but I thought that, not that they were watching the old movie, but that there had been just like a remake, like they remake a lot of things and sometimes set them to music.
It's a musical production version of the movie.
Which feels a lot worse to me, because you're not just disrespecting your fellow moviegoers, you are disrespecting all of the performers that are trying to put on a show,
going on in front of them.
And you could be disrupting them. Also, I think that movies tend to be a little darker than plays. Plays are better lit, and it seems much more bold to do something like that in a theater, like a theatrical theater, as opposed to just a kind of a dark movie theater that have different kinds of sets up. Some movie theaters aren't that big. Some of them have the seats pretty spaced apart. You can go in the back, and teenagers.
These were not spaced apart. They were fully near other people.
We saw the footage we just had up. It was packed. Yeah. And dense. And apparently, here's a detail that we didn't mention. It was a pregnant woman sitting behind her that first asked her to stop before she was ejected for causing a disturbance at the show. If you're at a point where pregnant ladies at a musical theater version of Beetlejuice are calling you out for engaging in X-rated activity, it may be time to reevaluate your life a little bit. Of course, Boebert has blamed drag shows for grooming kids. She took to the House floor in July, introducing an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act that would bar the purchase of pornographic books for military schools. Let's listen.
Let's stop grooming our children, including our military kids. It's gross. It is wrong. I am here to take a stand against it, and I urge my colleagues to pass my amendment to protect our military children from obscene content they should not be exposed to.
Well, if you were a military family or child and were in that particular audience, please do let us know, because it does seem like there's some significant hypocrisy.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way to get around if you're very animated by the idea of sexually provocative performances in public in front of young people, which I don't think is a crazy thing to be upset about. This is just blatantly hypocritical. I will say the difference is you can judge a parent's choice, but drag shows are advertised as drag shows, and parents are voluntarily taking their kids and exposing them to that. What happened in this movie theater was not voluntary or consensual for any of the children or anybody else, unborn children, who were in that room with her. So, look, I personally, honestly, I don't care. I don't think this is the biggest deal in the world. If she's finding her, getting her groove back post-divorce, she's a young 36-year-old woman, I don't care. It is truly only the hypocrisy. She's a grandmother.
She is. Yeah. That as well.
I saw someone making this argument, and I kind of see this. She's an elected representative who feels, no pressure to comport herself in a dignified way in public. Like, not even that, whatever, you did the underlying thing and then the ushers ask you to leave and you flip them off in front of everyone. Like, these are your constituents, right? Or maybe they're in a performance somewhere else. But it's that the bold contempt that elected leaders show ordinary people is pretty wild, and her election was close. It was real close. She almost lost.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's the best idea. Not that I want to cancel everybody for kind of ridiculous things, of which this is certainly one case, but you would, if you got caught doing this and you just had, you just worked at a convenience store or something, you'd be worried you were going to get fired. There was going to somehow, get made into a thing. And I would be totally against making a thing. Yeah. I would be absolutely dead set against it. But you occupy a seat of public prominence where you should be held more accountable than other people. You should be more accountable to the people than just regular person working a regular old job. And these are the least accountable of all. This comes into the conversation with the age conversations we have about Mitch McConnell's and Joe Biden and Dianne Feinstein's, that they wouldn't bag groceries anymore. The company wouldn't have it. But yet they get to occupy the most powerful political positions on earth.
Yeah.
It's backward.
I'm not even famous, and I am conscious of the fact that if anyone ever catches me being a less than generous tipper, if someone catches me saying something untoward in the back of an Uber, that could reflect negatively on my public image. And the idea that someone who is literally a sitting congresswoman doesn't have that same sense of decorum is mind-boggling, and perhaps speaks to a broader disrespect for the electorate.
For sure. More Rising right after this.